Currently my RuneScape account is stuck here with one important goal: make an adamant blade body. For that I need to do a lot of mining and a lot of smithing, and as of yet I don't know what I'm going to do to reach that goal and how long it's going to take. In order to figure that out, we first need to get to a level where we can mine and smith Mithril in the first place, and then it's time to do some experimenting to see how actually are we going to spend all that time working toward level 88. This is Chunk Wizard. He wants to explore the entire map of RuneScape, but what he doesn't know is that the map is divided up into chunks, and he needs to do every task within a chunk before he's allowed to move on to the next one. So come with me as Chunk Wizard explores RuneScape one chunk at a time. And we're there, level 30 mining, meaning that we can now move on to mining coal, which I've been just dropping the iron ore because I don't need as much as I've been mining. We don't need to mine anything from this mine, well, not ever again. It's got silver and clay that might end up being relevant in the future, but the tin, the iron, we don't need it anymore. We will be coming back here a couple times more throughout the remainder of forever, because one thing that I've neglected is looking at this bush patch. We've got our first farming patch. I don't have any seed. I've got a lot of onion seed that I can put in there, interestingly enough. For the time being, can I buy any, or do I need to pickpocket them from the master farmers? I don't know. This doesn't seem to sell them, so I probably do need to pickpocket from the master farmers to get the seeds. I suppose one is enough for now, so let's just deposit everything else that's not the redberry seed. Take our trusty rake with us. Do we have a seed dibber yet? We do not. We can buy one. I don't know how many coins we're going to need. I'm just going to take a handful of coins and go back to the chunk that we just left forever. Except it's hardly forever because we're going to go back there every couple of hours. Let's buy, I think I only need a seed dibber, and let's do a compost as well. And then we can rake the bush. This is the first time I'm raking anything, I think, on this account, and I already have 31 farming. So that's entirely off of forestry. The moment I rake something, it grows back. Then we put the compost in there. The redberry seed follows, and I'll be back in 2 hours. Alright, let's dump everything into the bank and go to my special place, my own little personal hell. Before I do that though, I have no reason to be wearing any of this armor aside from the pickaxe, so let's drop that off at the bank, because it's quite heavy. Not gonna lie, it feels good to just look like me for a change again. So this is it. This is the place. We've got coal, we've got mithril, and adamant all in one place. Right now I cannot mine the mithril, let alone the adamant yet, but we're gonna need a disgusting amount of coal to get through this grind, so I figure I might as well just get started with that. These coal rocks are taking a hot minute to mine though. Am I just getting unlucky, or do these take that long? Probably a combination of a little bit of both. At level 30 you only have a 16.4% chance to get the coal on every roll. And I'm rolling once every 6 sticks. And there I got it in the first one. Okay. How long do these take to respawn is another question. Because this is what it's gonna come down to in the end. Not for the coal, but for the mithril, and specifically for the adamant. How long do they take to mine with a steel pickaxe, and how long do they take to respawn? While he's mining away at those rocks, let's talk about how much coal I actually need. Because in the last video we calculated that I need 45,000 bars between mithril and adamant to get to the level that I want to get to. That was in the context of the amount of nature runes that we're going to need to farm to get there. But how much coal do we need for all that? Well, taking the 8,000 mithril bars that we need and multiplying them by the 4 coal that we need per bar, we already get up to 32,000 coal needed, and that just gets us to level 70. Then from 70 to 88, we need 36,000 adamant bars, and those take 6 coal apiece. That means we're going to be mining another 216,000 coal. Put all together, I need to get myself 250,000 coal while being quite far away from a bank, not having a good pickaxe, and not even having a coal bag. If we look at the mining coal money-making guide that the OSRS wiki has, and that is taking a lot of liberties in a much more ideal situation than I am in right now, it assumes that you get about 350 coal per hour. So if we take the 250,000 coal that we need, we divide it by 350 coal, we will be mining coal for 700 hours. And that is in the most ideal situation where we're getting 350 an hour, which we will likely not be. So that quickly balloons into 800, maybe over 800 hours of just mining coal. Ignoring the fact that we need 8,000 mithril and 36,000 adamant as well, which are a lot slower to mine even than coal. As my level increases a little bit away from the minimal level of 30 up to 40 and eventually 50, I will do my own actual test how different methods of gathering resources might make things slightly more or slightly less optimal. But the baseline that we're working off for just the coal here is gonna be over 700 hours. It is now the next morning. I didn't go back to check on my little berry bush at all. I kind of forgot about it, to be honest with you. I have effectively no use for red berries. So that's a bit of a... Can I not clear this without a spade? Can you clear it for me? Please tell me that you can clear it for me. I think this is stuck here until I get a spade. I don't think I can train farming after all at all on this patch. Okay, never mind the farming thing then. This is just gonna exist here for a long while. 200 fire runes gathered, that is 50 casts. I don't know if that's gonna be enough. Probably not. To be fair, I think I mined a little more iron and maybe even a little more coal than I necessarily needed. So this might just be enough to get me to level 50. Total of 62 steel bars. I haven't had this many in the bank since I've had the, what was it, 400 or so that we stacked up from the Black Knight before reaching level 30 in the first place. Did not quite make it to level 50. I did make it to over 100k XP, only 1000 XP to go. And finally, next bar? Maybe the next bar? This bar? Yeah, we're level 50 smithing. I'll just do the rest of the steel bars because why not? But we can now smelt mithril. As of yet, I cannot mine mithril, but I can smelt it. At this point, I just need to get level 50 mining and we can get a move on. I have some mithril ores from random events. I could theoretically smelt it, and you know what? Just for the sake of celebrating getting level 50, let's just smelt one mithril, or at least as much mithril as I have the fire runes for. This is real weird, but we've got a mithril bar, man. We've got one, we've got two. And I'm gonna run out of fire runes with this inventory 100% exactly. I'll have 0 fire runes left over. And that is 15 mithril bars, which I can only smith into mithril daggers at the moment. So it's probably a good idea to just rely on smelting stuff all the way up until I can make something that I actually care about, which in this case would probably be level 57, the mithril throwing knives. I guess the mithril axe would be an upgrade, but I don't need to do any woodcutting anytime soon. But hey, if I do roll into Lumbridge and need to get 99 in woodcutting now, I will be able to do it with a slightly better axe. By the time we get there, we're probably going to have an adamant axe, which will be significantly better than the steel axe that I have right now. If nothing else, it makes that grind ever so slightly less annoying. But my mining experience rate here with coal is only 6k per hour, where with iron it's like 20k per hour. I have 33,500 experience in mining right now. I need to get to 100,000. Something interesting that fully makes sense is I'm coming back here now and the red berry bush has regrown. Makes sense. It's a berry bush. Berries regrow. Does this still give me... It does give me a small amount of extra XP when I pick more berries. That is interesting. I really wish that I would have put down a higher level berry bush in here. About 1 inventory of iron. I'm gonna need to drop all this in a moment, but I've actually set my left click for iron to dropping, so that's relatively quick. It's about 22 to 23k experience per hour, so that is fully, well, literally not fully, but almost 4 times as fast as the coal was giving me. I made it to mining level 40. That seems like a pretty good moment to just go back and doing the coal thing for a few more hours, and then round out my grind for now, with some more iron a little later. I just had a thought, because I've been gaining a lot of levels since unlocking mining as a new skill. And what is our total level? It's straight up a rounded 1000. We've reached 1000 total level, while being confined to just these 6 chunks. It's not the most impressive thing in the world, obviously, but I still think that's pretty neat. I think somebody at Jagex has found his account and applied the YouTuber buff to me, because in just the time of 40 to 44 mining at iron, I've gotten both of these sapphires and an emerald and 2 clue scrolls. That seems insanely under the rate of almost any of these, let alone all of them combined. So officially, let's say, I now have the content creator buff, which definitely, really, truly is a real thing. Now, if that means that I'm also only going to be getting random events from this point forward that give XP lamps, that is a content creator buff that I could get behind. Look at this guy, just taunting me with his rune drops. Let's file that away as an ID for maybe later. They just keep on coming, they just keep on giving. Let's see, a beginner clue, and hey, I can do this one. All this mining actually has paid off somewhat. Why does it say bad? Why does it say bad? It's not a bad clue, it's a really, really good clue. And whenever I mine this one iron ore, which obviously this is the one that's going to take a while, there we go. We're level 50 now, so we can go ahead and pick up this clue scroll, which I got from a thing. I don't know if that ends up in this video or in a video specifically about clue scrolls, which is likely happening soon, but we can do Mithril now. And that brings me to the question, should we? I think it is time for an experiment. Because usually for Iron Man, ironically enough, iron is the best way to train smithing because it is so ridiculously fast to mine. But I have a little bit of a different situation here, just due to the sheer distance away that I have to go to bank my iron if I were to use iron all the way through, as well as the fact that every bar that I smelt takes up some runes. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take 45 nature runes, which is what we know our nature rune per hour rate to be, alongside with the corresponding amount of fire runes, and just do 45 iron ingots, smelting and processing, and 45 mithril ingots, smelting and processing. Time how long it takes to do either of those, and track the amount of experience that I get within that time. Then we're going to be adding that time on top of the flat rate of 1 hour that we know it to take to get those 45 nature runes to begin with. And from that point we can just divide that added up amount of time with the experience that we got in that method, and we can get an effective experience per hour for both iron and mithril. That way we find out if iron still is faster for us, or if our situation really wants us to start doing mithril now. The upsides of mithril being I can stay in the mithril mine for a long time without banking. If I bring the superheat item runes right into the Lumbridge mine, I can mine the mithril ore, mine the coal to smelt it right then and there, smelt the item, and rinse and repeat. That means that I don't have to bank nearly as often. Start the timer, and we're going to run off toward the mine and do our mithril first. Personally, I'm hoping that mithril is at least competitive with iron. Oh, you need level 55 mining to mine that. Oh, wow. I was thinking 50 because of the smithing. Well, I guess we're doing 5 more levels of mining. There we go, level 55 mining. Now it is time to start experimenting. While I've been doing this last half level or so, I set up a helpful little spreadsheet. Nothing improves a video like a good spreadsheet, right? So I've made a row here for iron, steel, mithril, and adamant. Obviously I can't test adamant yet. I doubt steel is gonna be a efficient way to go, but might as well test it. We give in the nature runes that we expect to get per hour, 45. For our test, we're going to do 45 of each one of the types of bars. So it assumes that we're spending 1 hour on the nature runes and then I can give in, let's say the iron took 30 minutes. Total time becomes an hour and a half. It knows the experience per smelt, per smith, experience per item, the total experience based on the number of bars that we've done, and then it can find us the effective XP per hour between gathering and processing the actual items, as well as gathering the runes. I'm starting my timer from Drainer Bank in all scenarios, just to make sure that everything is exactly fair. And as you can see, it just takes a minute to get here in the first place. So that is information that does need to be taken into account with how we're going to be calculating this. Now I do one full inventory, which is 28 items. I run it back, and then I do about half an inventory to round it out to 45. I just need to get 45 nature runes, and I have enough fire runes to do one of these. After this, I need to stock up on fire runes, but we'll do that between clips. And then we take a hammer. I don't know where it puts iron bars. There we go. I just had two already. I gotta remember to not process those. This is another thing that if I end up doing Mithril will technically be marginally more efficient over time, because I won't even be running to the bank itself. I will be straight up running from the mine to the anvil. And that is the end. 16 minutes. Again, there might have been a minute lost with me looking at my phone, but let's just keep it at 16 minutes for iron. I'm gonna put that into my spreadsheet. And now I have to get more fire runes before I can try out steel. Sweet, I've gotten enough runes to do my next little test. So I will take my pickaxe, I will take 45 nature runes, just a whole bunch of fire runes, and I'm also going to immediately take a hammer with me, and you will see why in a moment. Start the stopwatch and run off toward the iron mine. Over here I mine a full inventory of iron first. And with that full inventory, I now run back, but I don't go to the bank. The reason that I'm already running around with this stuff in my inventory is because I'm going to go directly to the coal ore with this inventory of iron. And this is where the strategy comes in, because doing this, coming here with a full inventory of iron and just mining to coal, smelting, mining to coal, smelting, will save me having to run back to the bank only half as often. And that'll be the last one for this round. Pick up the remaining 3 steel bars, and we can run back toward Drainer. And now that we've done that, fill up our inventory with 20 more iron and just rinse and repeat. And we stop the timer at roughly 46 minutes. And we're just gonna start by mining Mithril. Now, I don't know what the respawn time for Mithril will be, so at least at first, that is real quick. Okay, that is just luck. But at first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mine all the Mithril ores. Then I'm going to go to the coal, smelt all the Mithril to give all the ores individually here time to replenish. And hopefully by the time I've smelted all the Mithril that I've mined, they will have replenished. It is a little over 3 minutes in total. And this one has replenished by now. So this is a renewable cycle that we're doing here. And now that I'm out of Mithril ores, because I'm just getting a little lucky, I guess, I can go through and just get started with some coal, and we can start smelting these up. I'm guessing that Mithril might be the best option after all. I should also point out that I'm juggling these 2 beginner glues. I have a medium, easy, and hard glue in the bank as well. When I'm going to be doing this long term, if this ends up being the long term plan, I'm going to be juggling all those tiers as well, because I can get any tier of the coal and presumably also the Mithril itself here. So that'll very, very slowly help me toward getting some amount of clue progression as well. With the first inventory of 23 Mithril bars done now, the second one will only be 22. I can run back toward Drainer, smith these. That's a full inventory of daggers done. We can just drop those on the way because I'm not going to bother banking them. For just this test, I've actually straight up also dropped a couple of gems that I mined up because they were kind of messing up my inventory space. As we do the real grind, of course, eventually I will have to go bank every so often because I will be taking care of those gems. They will help me a lot with the crafting grind that I need to go through. In these tests, I've just been dropping them and entirely ignoring them. Also, need to remember to not let these despawn. This is the last goal that we need to mine, and of course, it's taken a while. And there we go. That is all the Mithril that I needed to smith, and these don't despawn for any time soon, so I can just kind of run off. And with the timer opened up, it seems like we're going to be at about an hour and a half to process 45 mithril bars, which is roughly double the amount of time that steel took us. So I'm really curious to see how that ends up working out in our spreadsheet once we finish actually smithing these daggers. Let me just real quick run back to my clue scrolls that are on the ground while I enter that into my spreadsheet, because as you can see, mithril is the best effective experience per hour that I have. Over the course of about 2.5 hours, I've gotten 3600 experience, which ends up being 1490 or so XP per hour, compared to the 1400 flat that steel gives me and the 1330 that iron gives me. There's a couple of variables here that we need to take into account over the course of the rest of this grind as well. One being in favor of mithril and one being in favor of iron. Because right now I am level 56 mining, which means that I'm pretty much already topped out at the speed of mining iron. Iron speed just caps out at level 60, at which point you get 100% odds of getting an iron ore when you start mining them. That impacts both the speed of iron and steel, because obviously steel still heavily relies on me being able to mine iron at a certain rate. Beyond level 60, the iron mining isn't going to be speeding up, but what will still be speeding up will be the coal and the mithril as well. So as my mining level evolves into level 60, 70, upwards of 80 even, this is not going to become any faster. The iron is going to stay at roughly the same time to process the same number of bars. The steel will see a little bit of improvement because it relies somewhat heavily on coal as well, but the mithril and maybe eventually the adamant will see a lot of improvement from improved mining levels. At which point this process might only take down to 65 minutes. We're up to 1728 experience per hour. All this is heavily in favor of mithril being my training method of choice, at least for now, but likely for the long haul as well. The other side to this, however, is that this all relies on me getting about 45 nature runes per hour, which is my current rate. But if I can somehow speed up that amount of nature runes per hour, the equation changes a little bit. Because if I change this into, let's say, 60 per hour, we can see that it shifts around a little bit. And my mithril now becomes less efficient than doing iron again. And if some miracle happens and I go up to 100 nature runes per hour, which is unlikely, but let's just imagine for a moment, now we see a disparity created where iron is heavily favored, because the bottleneck for iron mining is the speed at which I can get the runes. The bottleneck for mithril is mostly the speed at which I can get the ores. If my speed of rune gathering increases significantly, that makes iron a lot more worth it. If I cannot do that, however, and at the moment it doesn't seem like there is much of a way of me doing that, sticking at 45 per hour, mithril is definitely the way to go. I have some ideas about maybe trying out some other rune gathering methods in the future that might end up impacting this, but for the time being we're going to just assume that this is the way that we're going to go with things. And now we can also try to calculate how long this is going to take us in the first place. Because as we need to get to level 88, we need to get 4,385,776 experience. I've got 110,000 experience. That means that we need to get pretty much still the same amount of experience, 4.2 million. If we take that amount of experience and divide about our effective experience per hour at mithril, we end up with almost 3,000 hours. And there is another upside of doing this with mithril, and that is if I manage to get a better pickaxe, this also then again increases, because right now I get one roll every 6 ticks. Even if I can just improve that to 5 ticks or even 4 ticks, that could shave off 1/6 to 1/3 the amount of time that it takes me to process this stuff, because I'm mining just so much more quickly. But that's going to take a little bit more theory crafting and a little bit more experimentation on my end. So for now, we have an answer. We're going to stick with Mithril for the time being, and it is going to take me 2,800 hours to do so. Next time, let's take a look at a couple of things that need to be done in order to even make any of this possible to begin with, and maybe grant me a little bit of improvement as well, because we need to start chipping away at this 2,800 hours and try to get this down as much as possible.